How far back do you think police have records for Barry Morphew's phone, and is it the EBI? You're looking for the chickens? There's a chicken, see, baby? He's learnt not to run past and try and give the chickens a fright. Haven't you, darling? Yeah, how far back would law enforcement have phone records and things like that? Because, you know, Barry did make that available to law enforcement. And if this camp that the girls were on was for 2 weeks, I mean, it does open up a large window, doesn't it? And I guess search warrants are search warrants just for information from a date to a date, or does it mean that they've got everything up until a point? Because you hope they they know where they can go to actually look for Suzanne. Like, you know, I've often thought, you know, just go west, go out past Monarch Pass. There's so many ways to get into Denver. You know, from Salida, going out through Monarch Pass and then south. I spoke about that a long time ago, routes off the mountain, because, you know, if Suzanne's gone with either Barry or an abductor, another abductor, she'd be far away from the home, I'm sure. And, you know, there's been a lot of time to do something. Because I don't know, I find it hard to believe a rage event. I really find it hard to believe a rage event. I don't think... stay there, darling. I don't think Barry Morphew has just lost it. I don't think he would get angry with Suzanne. I know this is what people think. I think, you know, I don't know. I can't see that. I don't know why. It's based on nothing. I mean, I don't know the guy. So, you know, if something's premeditated, you know, you can be really cool, calm and collected and things, can't you? Because you know what's happened. It's either because maybe, you know, you've got certain skills and abilities that make you, say, a good volunteer firefighter, and that's being cool, calm and collected and just getting on with things. Or, you know what's happened to someone, so you don't spend extra time worrying. But there's so many people making shit up about what they think a relationship is, and certain people that have been asked about their relationship, well, they actually have no idea, and they don't have a relationship with Suzanne of any note or with Barry. Anyway, this is just making no sense. What am I saying? I'm wondering how far back GPS and EBI information goes that law enforcement have, and you know, I think that's really important, because I think it sounds like if there was a huge discrepancy, okay, with the time factors relating to that weekend, surely he'd be a person of interest or have been arrested. So to me, it just sounds like it's the gossip that's wrong, you know. 4 a.m, 5 a.m. We don't know really what the truth is there. But law enforcement would know, and they would know that it doesn't match up to a degree that it goes beyond something decently acceptable, you know. If it was just so sus, he would be arrested. Barry would be arrested now. So it makes you think, you know, this would be a premeditated crime that's happened actually well before. And you think, okay, well, when did the girls go? Did they only go on the Thursday? But, oh, apparently have they been for 2 weeks, been away? Doesn't that change a lot? It changes a lot, but then you've got Andrew Mormon insisting that Suzanne was seen on the Saturday, see? So this is what gets me, this is what makes it very, very interesting for me, is first you've got him telling us about a 3.5 hour to 4 hour window, which wouldn't actually necessarily be the case, it's just supposition, but the way he came up with that was telling us for fact that Suzanne and Barry went for a sandwich. So to me, that seems more like it wasn't Barry, because I would have think he would have done it well before this weekend. That's what I've always thought. I've thought it's either something really premeditated and she's never found, she's so far away, or, you know, it was an abductor on that morning. I kind of still think she could have gone on that bike ride if that's the case, and would still be very far away. But I think Barry has, if he's not guilty, I think he's got some suspicion or some guilty knowledge, something there. I just sense it, and I feel that there are several people that know, not just one abductor. And I think there's a whole lot of smoke and mirrors. And I think people are being manipulated so much into doing people's work for them, telling them exactly what they want to be put out, and people are doing the job for them, you know. So sorry, I don't sound so good here. I'm a bit tired, as you can see. I look terrible. But I've got so much makeup on because I've got to go to work soon. Better keep walking with dog, hadn't I? Look at him. He's getting so fat because of his leg, but he loves his treats, and I haven't, I haven't got him to lose that little bit of extra weight, which will help his sore leg. So to me, okay, people are insisting certain things had to have happened and are trying to tell you, okay, well, there's proof of life of Suzanne getting a sandwich. But to me, I think abduction or not, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that she's gone and gotten that sandwich. Who saw her? When? What cafe? I mean, it might have been just before the restrictions, actually, because I don't think the swimming pool restrictions were on until 15th of May. But if, as Andy says, Barry and Suzanne went down and got a sandwich together and were seen at 4 p.m, well then, if it's all bullshit about a really crazy timeline in the morning, I just think it helps point to Barry not being the culprit, even though, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've always been, I can see exactly 50-50, you know. All my videos sort of show that, really. How confusing it is, how things can just be circumstantial. You can have some pretty seriously damning circumstantial evidence, and it doesn't mean someone is guilty, though. And you can have very little evidence and very little clue, and someone can be guilty, and you'd never suspect them because it, for all intents and purposes, looks like they were nowhere around, had no motive. You know, you've got to nail down the motive. And people keep saying for Suzanne's money and stuff like that. And I got Spider-Man waving at me. Hi, Spidey! Neighbourhood kids. Kids like me for some reason, and it's just like, dude, seriously? Look at this little egg. See the, it's a lizard egg. Oh, watch out, Rock. Can't focus on it. It's just got goo inside now. I'd say the little thing's broken. Dead in there, I mean. Yeah. This is a really terrible video. I'm not being very clear at all. But yes, the girls are obviously frightened. It's not like, okay, when a pet wanders off, you think in your mind you can't leave that house because that pet's going to go to that home. And that happens too. People have moved, but the pet's turned up at the old home. But with a person, it's different. It doesn't matter, right? Maybe a child or a young teenager, yeah, you might. But a grown adult, no, it doesn't really matter where you live. If they turn up, it doesn't matter. And that's not, you know, a home that Suzanne has deep connections to. None of them would be deeply connected. You keep making out like Barry is so connected to that home. He really wanted it. It's his dream house. I don't believe that at all. Barry could have a lot of homes. I'm sorry, Barry could have a lot of homes. And, you know, motive, money. Well, how much does he need? I mean, Barry's a mover and shaker. He's a hustler. He's a successful person in his own right. And yeah, it helps to have a $500,000 extra cash to put down as a deposit. Great, but Barry's made millions of dollars in his life, millions, on his own. And he could keep doing it too, you see. So without Suzanne, without maybe an inheritance from Jean, he's better off with Suzanne alive, getting her inheritance from Jean when Jean dies. I mean, how does it help Barry for Suzanne to go? Okay, he has to get, the guardianship or the rights to be able to do things. Well, those were things that were in place. And sure, he needs to be able to sell a home. Why would he want to rattle around in a big home? I 100% understand the girls not wanting to live in that house because, yeah, super scary, super sad. I think you'd want to just get the hell out of Maysville, I really do, whether you go and live in Poncha Springs or not. Wouldn't that be good? Downsize, you've got 2 properties there, and yes, the property value is $165 per 2 or 3 hectare lot. All the other ones are valued that much, so why do you keep saying 80,000 people? Come on. And you know, wouldn't it be maybe better just to go and live in a smaller house near a Salida, rather than the home from where your mother might have been abducted? You've got people casting aspersions about Barry being a pedophile. That is so insensitive to Mallory, the older girl whom you are saying he is touchy-feely with. That just is disgusting. You know, it's just disgusting. You guys, you know, the people that want Barry Morphew to be guilty, they want it bad. They want it bad. It's like a drug to them. They can't just go, okay, let's move through these facts one by one. It's a drug. They're so committed, so attached, so it's their identity now to be the person that's going to nail Barry Morphew, or to be these hunters hunting down the hunter. when a lot of what you're saying, it depends on, okay, your perspective, but it depends on the rose-coloured or black-coloured glasses you're wearing. You know, that it depends on your filter, and those things that you say are deep and dark about Barry, they're not necessarily true. That's not necessarily true. So whilst I can understand that even though he's not named as a person of interest, of course he would be, and there's reason for him to be, of course. But you have to come up with motive. Show me the motive. There's nothing saying that Suzanne wanted to leave her husband at all. I mean, there's nothing saying that Barry would benefit more with Suzanne dead. I mean, she gave him access to her money when she was alive. She invested her money in that home. Maybe she didn't want to invest it in Alexandria. Maybe Suzanne didn't want to invest in medical marijuana. Maybe Suzanne was happy to put something into a home. And, you know, we don't know. And people running charities and things, I mean, it's kind of a satanic thing. Satanic groups, that's how they operate. You start a charity and that's how you move money in doing Satan's work kind of thing. But it's also, you know, people operate things through trust and charities and foundations and all sorts of things. Oh, well, I'm sorry your dog's going crazy because I'm standing here on public property. Jeez, lady. I don't often get grumpy with people like that because normally I'll just smile. I'm out in a public space. Yes, I'm talking. And she just stuck her head over the fence to say, move on. Okay. I can see why I might be annoying. That's okay. I am a bit of a motor mouth. So, Suzanne and money. She seemed happy to me to invest that money in that house. You know, who had control of Suzanne's money? But people didn't have to go to Barry to get control back into the Mormon family. Barry had to go to the Mormon family. He had to go to Jean. That says to me, who's got control of Suzanne? Jean. Is it Jean? I mean, Barry, people are saying things like, Barry is so upset that Suzanne survived. Are you for real? Really? Well, if you want motive, if he wants her money, he wants her alive to get the inheritance from Jean, wouldn't he? I mean, people make no sense. You're actually sick. And you say it as if you're great authorities. You're just a pack of doofuses, half of you. You know, you don't know. And if you don't know, it shouldn't be part of fact, okay? It shouldn't be part of what you base your decisions on. It shouldn't be part of what you base assumptions on about the case. You just have to leave it off the table. You can put it aside and say, okay, this is something we need to work on. This is something we need to narrow down. We need to find some sort of fact about how Suzanne felt about moving to Maysville. We need to find some sort of fact about how Suzanne felt about the investment she made with her money into that house. Maybe she likes to have money in real estate. Seems that way to me because she's owned real estate in the past and it's still a good investment where they were buying. That's an excellent investment out in the wilderness in this day and age with 8 acres and access to be able to hunt to feed your family. I mean, wow. And the mountain air was probably just what Suzanne needed. You don't know. We don't know. And yet you're saying the girls are scared. Well, yeah, they'd be scared maybe of an abductor, maybe of the press, maybe of the future without their mother. Fair enough. Do I think there are some dodgy people that have been surrounding Barry Morphew? Yes, I do. If you are looking at finances, you have to look everywhere. You can't just look at Barry Morphew and Suzanne Morphew. You have to look at everyone. If you're going to look for motive, you need to look at everyone. And I think we really need to know, we need it nailed down, don't we, where Barry has been in the few weeks before and the week after May the 10th, you know. We do need that information, because without that, we don't know if he's said anything to law enforcement that doesn't match up in a serious way. Not just in a, yes, look, I went and I switched over the bobcat blade to a fork and the time was wrong, or whatever it is, okay? Now that might give pause to thought, but I couldn't remember everything exactly either. On such an auspicious day, yeah, you would know, but you'd also be under pressure as well. And I think law enforcement sound like they've spoken to Barry quite a lot. I don't think anything of not doing. I mean, the rule is law enforcement are not your friend. They are trying to screw you. It doesn't matter who you are, that they are trying to get you. So don't do polygraphs. Don't talk to the cops. Just let them sort it out. And I mean, I know that might seem like for a missing persons case that's all wrong, and you'll state all these people like, oh, the husband that was under pressure, he kept looking and speaking out. But I think this is a bit different. I think Barry is right to be absolutely terrified and to clam up maybe. He has to just let Ellie do the job, because it's pretty serious, the situation he's in, with the way everyone is out to get him. By all means, be out to get the person, and that includes deeply investigating Barry, which is what law enforcement are doing. They have not arrested him. They haven't named him as a person of interest or a suspect. He will be a person of interest, obviously. He has to be, just by definition, as the husband of a missing person. You know, there's a lot of fake compassion going around. It really seems to be, and people just make up stories. Okay, so I just thought it was weird that there is, you know, people trying to insist that there are things that you believe. Why are they so hung up on this when we really don't have proof of some of these things? It's very important to Andy that you thought about that window of time, about a distance, and about Suzanne being alive at a certain time, wasn't it? And these aren't things that are confirmed to us by law enforcement, so it has to be taken actually with a grain of salt. And unless we saw the photos with the timestamp of her out in the main street with Barry having the sandwich or whatever. I mean, remember all the bullshit about she went out for takeaway on her own, or, I mean, Suzanne could have been dead for 2 weeks if that's when the girls have gone, so, yeah. Anyway, sorry, bit of a rave. I'll speak to you later.